Caller, you're on.
That's me?
Yes.
Look at, Charlie, I have a few questions here, and we have a little bit of time to really go through this. You know, I feel very, very concerned about the senior citizens in the city, and there's a tremendous of them that are very elderly, that can't lift these totes up. They can't be pulling these totes to the snow. And they relied heavily because they don't eat as much as the younger people or anything else. They used to just have their garbage in a little bag, walk it out there, and put it out in the alley or in front of their house, and that's it. It's going to be very, very hard with these totes. These elderly people are going to have a hell of a mess because these totes, I'm a big guy, and they're top heavy and everything else.
Yeah.
That's one thing over there.
But there's a provision for that. Individuals will, Modern will roll those totes out for them.
Okay, the Modern will roll the totes
or
out.
it's either Modern or the city, but there will be somebody who will roll those totes out for them.
Now,
Okay.
just a note, because I'm a little sensitive to this.
Well, okay.
Remember, the
we got
contract was already laid out. Dave, hang on one second. The contract was already laid out. What I want to tell people, I want to caution people, every time, that's a great idea, but every time we add another great idea to this implementation, it increases the cost, and people need to be aware of it. People need to be aware of it, that when this bid was put out, that's why two of the respondents said we don't have enough time to even figure this out, to do a good job for the city.
That was my next question over here. We had this crammed down our throat one time before by Roger Spurbeck and Charles, what's his name, Sam Fragione, of this landlord licensing deal. And it was supposed to be a temporary position, and all of a sudden now it's a full-time position. Somebody's going to be getting pensions, everything else. These people that they're going to hire to drive behind the garbage trucks to enforce this. And the mayor also said that they're going to have to hire a data processing person. How are you going to save any money when these people are going to be on the books, and once you get them on there, these are friends and family, they're never going to come off. How are we possibly going to save any money on this?
Well, again, you have to go to the key of enforcement and education, because if you don't get people to recycle, and if you don't enforce the laws, then this program.
We could have. I'm going to tell you what. There was so many other ways. Instead of going out and taking $2.1 million and buying these totes, my God, they could have bought one tote just for recycling. I mean, the garbage cans, the people already had them intact here. There's a lot of brand new garbage cans I've seen around the city here that people bought. My neighbor right next door to me's got galvanized cans that ain't going to be able to be used anymore. You can't use it. If you use it for garbage one time, Modern's going to be taking it from you. They're thinking it's scrap garbage. I mean, this thing just wasn't thought of. I myself have a problem over here. My alley is narrow, and there's a lot of narrow alleys in this city. During the wintertime, the plows come down. The plows push the snow up 2, 3, sometimes 4 feet. The snow's as high as my fence. How in the heck, with me, I had the smaller garbage cans. I was able to lift them up, put them there on the snow pile over the fence, and that's it. How in the hell are you going to lift these huge, top-heavy totes? Especially these totes here are top-heavy. The wind is going to blow them over. They're not low to the ground. And the life expectancy, these are plastic. They're nylon. What are you going to get, 5, 6 years out of it? You're going to have to buy all brand new totes again?
Let's have the
questions, sir. This is crazy, Charlie.
Let's have the councilman answer that, and the phones are lighting up.
And one
over here,
last question
Dave. Go
here,
ahead,
too,
go
while I
ahead.
got him on. One bulk pickup a month? That's crazy. Not for a city where that is an impoverished city. One bulk pickup cannot be done.
Three good
Thank
questions.
You, man. I'll be listening.
Three good questions, Dave. Thank you.
But I think it's one bulk item, with your regular sanitation, with your regular garbage each week. So it's really like two, as you put your garbage out, you can put one bulk item out there with it.
Okay, and I think we've had laws on the books to address the bulk pickups.
First full week of the month.
And I haven't heard too many people complaining, other than the garbage that's in the alleys and that. And I think part of that is because we had laws on the books, but they were not enforced. And that's, again, I got to keep saying that because...
And a lot of people do use garbage bags. And so that's one of the problems with the alleys is those bags are always being ripped open.
And the law says you're supposed to have covered
supposed to have a can.
Garbage cans. That's why I say if the totes would have been implemented even a couple of years ago, right now, this wouldn't even be an argument because all you would be doing is expanding the program. Caller, you're on. Yes, caller, you're on.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question. I've been observing the people on my block that are, you know what they're supposed to be doing, but they're not. It's this recycle thing. There's 20 homes on the short block that I live on, and out of the 20, I believe there's 7 of us that are recycling. Do you think this new program is going to help anything?
I think eventually it will because, again, people will be educated as to how you recycle, and then you'll have this big bin to be able to do it in. So I think it will encourage more people to recycle. I think if you have 7 out of 20, I mean, those, if we can get those kind of numbers around the entire city, our recycling will go up quite a bit.
Right, but that's what enforcement is about.
That's
because
right.
people that don't have the respect for the recycling program or the issue of sanitation. One of the the enforcement would motivate
The
them.
enforcement is going to be key.
Okay,
That's right.
but enforcement, education, and the ability to have a rational program
Right.
all work together.
Well, you know, I hope this all works out because, like over the past month, I've been, observing my neighbors, and that's the last 4 weeks. And every week we have garbage pickup, and I still seem to see the same individuals and myself with the recycle.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to bother the rest of the, I would say, 13 other residents.
No, you're right. I mean, the same issue is on my street, and I just live off of Pine Avenue, and the same issue, the garbage pickup is on Friday, and milk bottles and everything else are flying down the alley by Sunday afternoon. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, but that's what happens, and people need to be. First, you really have to support people in a way that they gain respect for the program.
Right.
You know.
Yeah,
Well, you know what? I hope
people,
it all works out because you know what? I and the other 6 of my neighbors will continue to do what we've been doing, and I hope the other ones
Right.
will join in.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, caller. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I think those numbers will increase, and I think, like I said, I think the most important thing is educating people and encouraging people to get with this program, and make sure you don't put any impediments in front of them.
No, and that's true. And we do have other callers on the line. Caller, you're on.
Oh, would that be me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Charlie, Ken Hamilton here.
Yes, sir.
I'm concerned about a couple of things. I was reading the regulations, and it still holds the landlord responsible for the actions of the tenant. And the part that is most disturbing is the fact that they said that regardless of any covenant that the tenant has with the landlord to take responsibility for its own trash, that the city is still going to hold the landlord responsible for that. I don't know if any city code can usurp a contract, and those contracts are controlled by the state of New York and New York State landlord laws, tenants laws. How would you fix that? How would you hold a landlord responsible for a tenant actually sorting his trash?
I mean, my understanding, they're still meeting and discussing those issues with the landlords. I believe they have a meeting scheduled this week as well. I mean, like I say, there are still issues with this that we're still working out.
Yeah.
We haven't stamped anything yet as approval, and this is how we going. I mean, we're still working some things out.
Ken, those kind of clean neighborhood ordinances, one of the things that I've pushed from the time I was on the council the first time, okay, which is a long time ago, is that we should treat those kind of issues like you would treat an issue with an automobile. If the car is illegally parked, the owner of the vehicle gets the ticket because that's the only way you can identify. If that same car is speeding, the driver
Right.
gets the ticket. So when it comes to neighborhoods, okay, certain things like structural issues, okay, falling gutters, roofs, whatever, falling porches, the owner of the property gets the ticket. When it comes to high grass, when it comes to garbage, okay, you can cite the tenant, the resident, let me just say the resident, not the tenant, but the resident of that address, And the way you would address it as far as the city protecting itself is the way it protects itself whenever they issue a citation or a fine. It winds up, if it doesn't get paid, it winds up in the property owners, attached to the property. Now the owner has to get involved. That would encourage the owner to make sure that they screen their tenants properly. I mean, I have people around my neighborhood, dear God, they have garbage cans and they won't put their garbage in the cans.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Vince, and your analogy of the automobile is perfect. I mean, it's flawless. That's a great way of looking at things. But the issue still comes down to when you screen a tenant.
Right.
We keep instituting programs in which we are attracting and keeping people who are responsible. As Charlie knows, the Housing Authority advertised that they were looking for tenants to come to the Hope 6 project who qualified for social services. Now, you cannot go after these people because they have no assets after which to go. And so now we keep attracting these people. If we screen them, then they're going to move to the city anyway, and it becomes the city's responsibility to take care of them. We're going to need more public housing to eventually throw them out of.
No,
And so now when we start to look at all of those dynamics, the issue comes down to who is actually creating the problem, and that's our public policies.
No,
and if I could say one other thing prior to, you responding to this, I appreciate it. When we start to look, if you start to look at the communities that recycle the best, recycle the best, they are the ones that have the highest education ratings amongst their school districts. And Amherst have 4 of the top 10 school districts in Western New York.
Right.
And so we talk about if we educate the people, then they will be more conscious about recycling and managing this garbage program correctly. And that's right. But the issue is that they already have to be educated on this one particular subject. And our school system's just literally stuck. And it seems like we're passing resolutions that stop us from getting a quality school system, and yet we want to depend upon the education of the people to carry out this program. And you can't do both.
I thought the election was over, man.
No, Charlie, right now you're running for re-election now because the politicians are always right. I mean, what are you talking about the election?
I thought the election was over.
That's...
well, the education system isn't, though.
Yeah, but we're talking about recycling, and I don't think I don't think bringing the school system and the housing authority into this issue is really necessary.
But one thing I need but let me add something to what you just said, Kenny.
What we're talking about is you brought up the subject of education.
Exactly, educating individuals on what items they can recycle and how things are going to go is what we're talking about.
Ken, I've mentioned on the show for 3 weeks that when Mayor Galley instituted privatizing sanitation, the biggest item, the new thing that Niagara Falls got hit with was the blue bins and recycling.
Yeah.
What I've said over and over and over, it was amazing to me after a year that the most effective messengers of the recycling program were the school kids.
Absolutely.
Because Modern, with the original contract, had the responsibility to inform and educate the public, and collectively, with the school system, with the city of Niagara Falls, with support from Modern, with the material and all of that, they were doing presentations at school, grade schools. So the kids were bringing not just the pamphlets home, but they were reminding their mom and dad, hey, this is the way it is. That's the way it is. Don't put that bottle in the garbage. Put it in the recycle bin.
And Vince, I was talking with the president of the Landlords Association last week on initiating a program, again, that goes through the schools. I was there, during the Galley administration. In fact, let me tell you, I am such a great recycler. I have 3 bins.
Well, we have
and
2.
Sometimes all 3 of them go out. I have more recyclables than I have garbage. But the issue still goes back that the fact of the matter is this: the higher the education system in a city is, the more it recycles. And when you start to bring up educating the people as how to recycle, the word education comes up. And as you said, Vince, the kids in school are the ones who are being educated, and they're the ones that initiated the program in every one of these communities. Empirical evidence says the better the education system, the better the recycling. I mean, that just goes hand in hand. And so to say that these things are totally unrelated is like saying, I have a piece of the puzzle and I can figure out the whole thing without looking at the picture on the box. All of these things go together. And the reason that we have what we have is because of all of the different factors that cause these things to happen. You know, it's like, what's the difference between a pizza and a cake? Yeah, a cup of sugar.
What's the difference?
Yeah. Hey, listen, you're talking to somebody who knows mom shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. But thanks a lot, Kenny. Appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Take care. But again, you know, to me, look, Charles, I truly believe that when this proposal was put on the table in front of you, the first thing that came to your mind was, and I don't know if it was 1996 or 97 when we privatized sanitation. It might have been 97. But I'm sure the first thing that came to mind was the hell that the city council went through because we were getting rid of some of our workforce. So it wasn't an argument about bins. It wasn't an argument about pickup. It wasn't an argument about the laws. The biggest argument and the biggest demonstrations were about losing that piece of labor force. And we got through it all right. So I'm sure when you saw this, you already remember what you went through, and I went through, you know, because we're on the council together, during that particular issue. And I don't remember, you know, Tony Ristino was there. Did anybody consult with Tony Ristino from this administration? Did anybody consult with Mayor Galley? Did anybody consult with any of the councilmen that were there? I think John Accardo was there at the time. You know, what I'm saying is, dear God, it isn't like we never done this before. Why are you making it so difficult for everybody?
Yeah, I think that's you know, I think that's important to you know, try to make, like you said, to make this thing as simple as possible. You know, I think, and that's one of the reasons why I think early on, if they really would have involved the community in discussions on this, they could have rolled out this program, and it would have been a lot easier.
No, and you know, and because I say these things, you know, some people, just like the caller Tuesday, feels that this is an attack on the mayor. No, it's an attack on the way this mission was implemented, and if it falls on the mayor's lap, well, then it falls on the mayor's lap.
So that's why I say, I mean, it's important to make sure people have a bin big enough to put their sanitation in. At the end of the day, if we want to make this thing happen, sure, we want people to recycle, but let's face it, not everybody's going to do it, especially not 100%. So there will be that issue as to whether or not that person has a bin big enough to put their sanitation in.
Right.
And then what does the ordinance say as to how much they can actually put out? Because if you're not giving me a bin big enough to put out what you say I can put out, there's an issue there.
No, exactly. And the thing is that, again, you know, most politicians that have any kind of experience hear the phrase low-hanging fruit.
Right.
That's what you go after first. There isn't a single council member or mayor in the last 30 years that hasn't heard the discussion about the garbage in the alleys or around the streets, you know, even at pickup time, you know, if it's Friday, Thursday, whatever, you know, garbage is going all over the street. They passed a law to try to fix that, which was your garbage cans have to have a firm fitting lid, period. And in the old days, it was metal cans that you were supposed to have.
Right.
Okay? So now, we've been complaining about the dirty alleys and dirty streets for 30 years, and nobody's ever enforced the law. Simple as that. So you know, this notion that this is a new idea is wrong, because what should have been done and could be done, now is being done, is to inform the public, make sure that the laws keep up with what we're doing right now. That should have been understood before you even put out the contract, the RFP. How can you put out an RFP that addresses new issues, but you're not going to have the laws in place to make a nice, smooth transition? I mean, I just don't get it. And if my frustration comes out as criticizing the administration or the mayor, look, I can't do anything about that. But I don't see that caller from Tuesday calling back today and saying thank you for the information. Because, see, people like that don't want the facts. They just want, they have an agenda, they have a point of view, Anything that contradicts that, it diminishes their point of view, and then becomes a problem. But go ahead, Charles. I know you have some pamphlets in front of you. If you want to tell us a few things about that, go ahead.
No, I mean, I just brought these along just in case someone asked a question. I would have something to refer to as far as, how this recycling program is going to work and what sort of things they should look for. But I think the most important thing, like I said, if you have any problems or any questions, don't hesitate to call.
Right.
So we can try to work those things out. Because, like I said, this is something we want to make sure that individuals who have been doing the right thing can continue to do the right thing, and not be frustrated by this program. Because this is not a program where, well, from my point of view, this is not something I want to be put out there that's going to frustrate people, but assist people and assist the city as far as keeping the city cleaner and greener.
Well, we do have other callers on the line. We get to those callers. Charles, we do have some other callers on the line. Hopefully we get some good pointed questions. This way we can answer them while you're here, because I know there's a lot of questions. Caller, you're on.
Yes, first of all, Mayor, I want to apologize to you because what I was talking about and you were talking about were basically we're on two different railroad tracks. My point is this, that I'll go to this point. They said that the Transcontinental Railroad could never be built because they had to overcome mountains, valleys, peaks, and all that. Was the Transcontinental Railroad built?
Of course.
Well, then why can't this garbage program be implemented in a proper fashion with cooler heads prevailing? All I ever hear from the people in Niagara Falls on this show and Tom's show is it can't be done.
No,
we don't want to do this. That this is too hard.
Look,
Charlie, is it too hard to see that the money that could be saved by recycling is worthwhile?
No, I think everybody knows that. But here's the point.
Well, I'm asking Charlie.
No, I know that. I know that. But
I don't think we said anything about it being too hard. I think we said if it's not properly maintained, if laws aren't enforced, then it's going to be a waste of money.
Right.
That's right.
Let me just go back to the Transcontinental Railroad, because when they started that, they knew that they wanted a track across the country.
That's right.
That was the main goal. The main goal here is to reduce cost, okay, by increasing recycling. Simple premise. Okay? Now, when they did the railroad, the first thing they had to do was have steel mills be developed and mining be developed so they could make the tracks. They also had to take down forests to create the bed for the tracks. So they didn't go out there and say, by the way, if anybody wants a ticket for a train, just come on down. We're going to start selling tickets for the train, but we don't know when we're going to get there. Come on.
About it, I'm saying you're right. But my point also is this, Charlie, did the council ever look at the Lockport model for doing this type of pickup?
We've looked at some of that, but you also have to remember, Lockport, they do charge the residents there. They do charge the residents there. This is a free program, and like I say, the whole issue. Okay, but the whole issue.
They're paying for it.
Right. The whole issue to this program, like I said, is to make sure the people are educated and ready for the program. And this is what we're saying. A lot of people, they're getting these totes on their lawn and they don't even know what they're really about because some of them haven't been reading the newspaper or watching the news.
Right.
So we haven't done enough work as far as knocking on doors and making sure people understand this is what's coming and this is how it works.
Well, I'm convinced that if we had said last year, folks, anybody that leaves their garbage out of sight of the garbage cans is going to get cited, you would have had a war on your hand just like you have right now. The problem is that people just, a lot of people, not everybody, but look at the one caller, said out of 20 people in his block, 7 do recycling. Right. Recycling has been in the law since 1996 or 7. Dear God, that's the only way we can save money with sanitation.
Right.
So, go ahead.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
That's 33% of the people on his block are doing it. According to the paper, that Falls only has a 4%
Right.
recycling.
Right.
So if 33% are doing it, that's a lot better than 4%.
Oh, that's great. Those are great numbers.
No, that's
And that's, I mean, that's what we're saying.
That's what we should be doing.
If we can get people to that, that's great.
yeah, exactly.
You
We're all
think
in
it's
agreement
a-
there.
You can get to 50%. But I think it's a slap in the face to the people of Niagara Falls when somebody comes on the air and says, the people are better educated in Amherst so they can understand this program better. Boy, if I'm a Niagara Falls resident, I'd be pretty upset with somebody telling me I can't read or write.
Well, wait a minute.
That's exactly what your caller said.
Well, he said that the communities that have successful recycling programs happen to be communities that are better educated, have better school systems. That's a fact of life.
But you don't need a school system. You need to be able to read the instructions that are attached to the totes. And when a person calls up on your show every single time and tells you that, no, we can't do this because it's going to snow. Because, you know what? What if God has a tornado
listen,
and he destroys Niagara Falls?
I was in public
There's
office.
no way
Listen,
about
I
those
was in public
contingencies.
office for 10 years, and if you don't think that's just a common thing that goes on over and over, the point is that we all have a right to criticize our government and our public officials. What I try to do different than a lot of people that do that is I try to have my facts together or have some thoughts that that can work. It's not good to just present things that the city can't finance. Okay?
That's right.
So I try to think about what I say.
If you do not have the facts correct and you put out a lie, which I call it's a lie. Misinformation to me is a lie. And you put that misinformation out on your program, and it is not corrected, as you did so astutely today in the beginning of your show, and I appreciate that, then the people are told that this is the way it should be if it's a law, and if they don't know the law, it should be propagated, because a law that is not enforceable is not a law.
No, exactly.
It is not a law. It's a piece of words.
We're up against the clock. Thank you very much. No, you're right, and thank you for calling in. Thank you. Well, Charles, that hour went by kind of fast, and I hope people are heartened by the fact that the city council is working hard and trying to make this happen. Just to show you how strongly I feel about this, and the fact that I think that it's important for people to get different points of view, even on the council, through a mutual friend. I've extended an invitation to Councilman Glenn Shalokian. And I'm hoping at some point he comes in, because I know he's the one that people identify as being the one that pokes at the administration, but that's fine. But the fact is that we need the information, simple as that. And I appreciate it, and hopefully we can make this a regular thing.
Sure.
And I know you're not afraid to answer my calls, and
Sure.
thank you very much for that. So folks, again, it's the Vince Anello Show, and you can call us live at 297-1059, but not until next Tuesday, because today the show's over. Thank you very much. Thank you. Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July.